Hi, I'm Jessica, and when I'm not drinking all the coffee, watching Razorback sports, or hanging out with my family of boys, it's my passion to help elementary music teachers just like you find your unique teaching style. My goal with this podcast is to share helpful tips, strategies, and to give you the motivation you need to gain momentum in your teaching so you can continue being the music teacher rock star you already are. Hello, everyone. As you're listening to this, I am recording this on May 2nd, and so I gotta do this. I just have to do this, because if you have seen these memes rolling around, it cracks me up. I was a huge NSYNC fan growing up, and I'm a big Justin Timberlake fan now, and so we just gotta go there. You already know what I'm probably about to do. It's gonna be May. Yeah, you've seen that everywhere. If you haven't, if you have no idea what I'm talking about. So he sings the song, it's gonna be me. And the way he says it in the recording is, it sounds like the word May. And so every time in April, May's rolling around all over Facebook and I don't know, any social media pretty much, Instagram, you see these memes about Justin Timberlake singing that. So anyways, I just had to go there. But anyways, today, we're going to talk about how to plan for the next school year. Now, you're probably thinking, hello, I just am finishing up this school year. Can you give me a minute? Can you give me a summer and let me take a break? Yes, totally. But here's what I found out. When I plan for the next school year in May, not like you're planning it all out, because you're going to do a lot of professional development over the summer. You're going to be thinking about your school year over the summer. You're going to be figuring out, are you at a new school? What resources do you want to buy? What programs are you doing? A lot of that can't happen in May because you don't know all the logistics of things. But there are a lot of things you can do to prepare for August. And then you can take a summer off and come back in the middle of July and really focus in on really planning it out. But here's what works for me. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to think about what worked this year and what did not. You know those lesson plans that went amazing, and you know the ones that didn't go over so well. We've talked about that before in another podcast and some of my blog posts. If you're interested in reading some of my blog posts, by the way, just head to thedomesticmusician.com and there's a tab right on the homepage, the Start Here page, and it just click on blog and you can see. But anyways, that was a little bit of a bunny trail, which I tend to do. That's where my mind is always all over the place. So what I was going to say is, I've talked before about you're going to constantly, you probably already do this as a teacher. You're always thinking about, man, that lesson did not go as according to plan. And then there's some lessons where they're the ones, and I've mentioned this before, but they're the ones that you think are not going to go over well, or you really didn't spend a lot of time planning them out. And those tend to be the lessons that go really well. So keep those in your bucket of, yes, continue to do these lessons. And the ones that didn't go so well, maybe don't completely disregard them, but maybe change up what you do with them, if that makes sense. So instead of, let's say you did, I don't know, Jingle Bells. I'm just going to name some random song. And you taught the kids to sing it, and then they, played the Jingle Bells, and then that was it. And you notice, well, I don't really think they got a lot from this lesson. Well, maybe the next school year, you add some kind of movement activity or a composing activity or something else to it. So that's what I like to do, is don't totally disregard a song if it didn't go well, but maybe change it up. Change up how you teach it. Change up the extra things you're doing with it, if that makes sense. Okay. The next thing you're going to think about is, if you have a budget, which, man, y'all, I've gone there before. A lot of schools do not provide a budget to the music teacher. So if you do not have a budget, it's totally fine. But think about this summer. What are things you even could purchase? Or if maybe you're getting a little bit of money from PTA, but you're not going to get it till August, go ahead and think about that. Like, I've talked before about that. If there's only one thing you can get if you don't have a budget, think about one thing. This is what I did. I was at a school that had no resources, if you remember me talking about that. But one thing, like let's say you can only afford one drum. What's the one drum you want for your classroom? And then maybe there's a couple things that you could buy on your own. And okay, I really need this teaching resource. I'm going to purchase this myself. Or if you are going to get a little bit of a budget, then just wait until you get that money, but make a list of what you want to buy. Okay, so we talked about budget a little bit, but what are your needs? What are you needing in your classroom? Unless you're getting some huge stipend or something, there's no way you're going to be able, especially if you're in a classroom like I was in, and you don't have anything, then you're not going to be able to purchase everything you need, in one sitting. Excuse me. It's just not possible. And so what you're going to do is think about your needs. What are your most pressing needs? What are you really needing to teach music with for the next school year? And that's going to be different than even the music teacher down the street. And it's according to your teaching style, what your students need from you, how are you wanting to teach? And that, if the school down the street really wants recorders, but you really need xylophones, then get the xylophones. Don't worry about comparing yourself to other people. We've talked a lot about that also. Think about your schedule. How often are you going to see the students next year? I know a lot of times that'll change. You may have seen them, one time a week this school year. Next year, you're getting them 2 times a week. I don't know. But think about your schedule. So maybe you're going to have to really think of extra lesson plans now. Or maybe it's going to be the opposite where you saw the kids a lot and next year you're going to see them less. So then, okay, I can't teach as many lessons as I did this year. So what are the main ones? Highlight the ones that you did that you really want to emphasize that really teach the objectives. And if you can't teach everything, that you did this year because you're not going to have them as much, then modify a little bit. Teach, like I said, really pick up the things that stand out. Like, okay, I need to teach this lesson to teach melody. This is what I need to teach form. This is what I'm going to use to teach dynamics. If you have the kids more, then you can have a couple lessons under each category, obviously for each month. And then think about what are you wanting to incorporate more or less of. There's some things in music, in elementary music, that you don't need to spend 9 weeks to teach it. There's some things in music that you spend all year going over, like singing voice and, beat and rhythm. And then there's some things that, you do it by a unit, like recorder, for instance. Everybody teaches it differently, but I would just spend 4th quarter or 3rd quarter teaching it, and then we would basically be done with it. Except for maybe like the occasional couple students playing it in a program or something. And so then you're going to think about, like I said earlier, what programs are you going to have? And then in your calendar, how are you going to fit those in? And what are you going to do with the other grades while you're working on a program with this grade? So just start thinking through. That was one of my favorite things to do, is just evaluate what you did that school year and what can you do the following school year to improve. I feel like every single year you get more confident as a teacher and you figure out what works and what doesn't work just by simply doing it. You just jump in there and do it, and you figure out, okay, I need to modify that. It didn't work. Or heck yes, that was amazing. We're going to keep doing more of that. I hope that you got something from this and that you're really going to start thinking through your school year for next year. And like I said, it's never too early. And even if you don't do it right now, but June or July, this is the steps I took to really plan out my school year for the next year, with a lot more detail involved. But this just gives you a starting point for how to do it. Okay, I hope you guys have an amazing week and that you are pushing on. I know it's hard in May. It's really long days and the kids are crazy, but you're doing an amazing job, and keep on going. You do not need to quit. You do not need to get frustrated. Go home and give yourself a nice long bubble bath, or take a walk when you get home, or just lay there and stare at Netflix because I know it's exhausting, but you guys are doing an amazing job. All right, I'll talk to you next time. Bye. Thank you so much for listening in to the Elementary Music Teacher Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. And while you're there, I would love for you to review the show and leave a rating on iTunes. To find out more about how I can help you gain momentum in your elementary music teaching career, head to thedomesticmusician.com, where you'll find free downloads, courses, the blog, and so much more. Continue teaching music and never doubt the impact you're making each and every day in the lives of your students.